The first scene shows Dr. Freddy, a shy dentist, sitting in a bar and waiting for his partner. Freddy has been searching for his soulmate for 5 years without success. Fortunately, the woman arrives, but he is so excited that he spills his glass on the table. He offers her flowers, but as they talk, the situation becomes awkward when the woman notices that Freddy is acting strange, looking several times at the necklace on his chest. The woman gets up and suddenly reveals to him that she has a meeting with a client. Freddy realizes that she will not call him, and hurt by the negative outcome of the meeting, spends another lonely night painting airplanes with his only friend, Hardy the Turtle. Persis, Freddy's grandmother, calls him to see how he's doing and is shocked to learn that he's depressed about the negative outcome of his date. The next day, Freddy goes about his normal routine at work, but once he gets home, he gets a call from a woman who found him on a dating app. The woman arranges a meeting with Freddy at the Blue Cafe, the same place she has gone before. The next day, Freddy buys some flowers and waits for the woman. He soon realizes that it probably won't come. As he prepares to leave, a group of boys mock him for wasting his money on expensive flowers. And he repeated the exact same words from the conversation with the woman. Freddy realizes he was just being teased. Later, Freddy meets Persis, who urges him to find a girlfriend. Freddy says he'll find her before he dies, but Grandma hurts when he implies he won't find her for the next 100 years. Just then, Grandma notices a beautiful girl smiling at them and asks Freddy if he knows her. Freddy looks on and is struck by her beauty. He approaches her, but instead of starting a normal conversation, he gets nervous and asks her why she's staring at him. The girl tells him not to stare at him, and then her husband arrives. The drunk man attacks Freddy, threatening to kill him if he goes near his wife again. Later that night, Freddy can't sleep thinking about the girl. The next day, he returns to work and surprisingly meets the girl he fell in love with. The girl apologizes for the bad treatment applied by her husband and informs him that a friend recommended him. She introduces herself as Kainaz and tells him that she would like to remove his table. Freddy inspects the table and asks to come back for extraction the next day. Before leaving, the girl notices the photo of Freddy's mother, who was a famous singer and cellist. She reveals that his mother inspired him to play the cello. The next day, she arrives at the clinic, and Freddy sends his nurse out for a walk before the mass extraction procedure begins. Before the anesthesia wears off, Freddy approaches Kainaz and tells her that he loves her. Moments later, she wakes up and Freddy says the operation is over and asks her to come back for a checkup the next day. He asks her if she's allergic to anything, and the girl tells him she's allergic to dish detergent. After she leaves, he looks up her medical record and discovers the address. Later, she returns home to her husband, Rustam, who aggressively invites her to dinner. Meanwhile, Freddy decides to visit her at her house. While hoping to see the girl, Freddy instead witnesses Rustam's attack. Although he initially considers intervening, he quickly changes his mind and leaves. That night, Freddy experiences a nightmare in which his father killed his mother and then himself. The next day, the girl is a no-show, and Freddy calls her to meet with him to make sure her post-surgery recovery is going well. They meet in a nearby park and Freddy notices the wounds on Kainaz's face. She reveals that she is trapped in a toxic relationship with Rustam and fears for her life if she tries to leave. Freddy decides to ask Kainaz out on a date, which prompts him to treat himself to new clothes and a new haircut. The next day, he waits for Rustam to leave Kainaz's house before calling her to propose a date, which she accepts. During a movie date, Freddy starts kissing her and they share a passionate kiss, but the girl suddenly leaves. Freddy tries to contact her afterwards, but she doesn't answer. When he visits her, he finds out that she has been beaten again by her husband. He proposes to her, but she reminds him that she is already married. At this point, Freddy decides to propose an extreme solution: to kill Rustam. Frightened, Kainaz initially resists, but eventually relents. Later that week, Freddy waits for Rustam outside his house and follows him as he jogs. In the end, he chooses to run over Rustam with his car. After taking Rustam's life, Freddy retreats to his family farm in the village for a week. As time passes, the police investigate Rustam's death, but find no evidence. Before going back to town, Freddy fixes his car and heads straight to Kainaz's apartment. However, when he goes to see Kainaz, he is surprised to find a stranger, Raymond, who opens the door for him. This turns out to be Kainaz's secret lover, and the girl asks Freddy to leave. Freddy realizes that he was used to eliminate Rustam. Kainaz threatens to inform the police that Freddy stalked her and killed Rustam out of jealousy, showing them the incriminating photos he plans to give as evidence. Freddy returns home and wallows in pain as the turtle tries to stay by his side. Meanwhile, Kainaz and Raymond discuss their plans to expand Rustam's restaurant into a global business, thus realizing the dream to Kainaz to own the husband's business. The next day, Freddy goes to her restaurant, where he orders a drink and notices Kainaz and Raymond. Freddy simply asks to apologize, but Raymond beats him to it. Raymond warns Freddy that they have the photos, and if he doesn't stop his nonsense, he'll turn them over to the police. Determined to get revenge on Kainaz and Raymond, Freddy waits for them to leave their apartment. He then hires a locksmith to break in. He switches Kainar's facial cleanser to liquid dishwasher detergent and adds salt to their food, exploiting Kainar's allergy. Unexpectedly, they return early, prompting Freddy to hide on the balcony, as they share an intimate moment. In the next room, Freddy adds sleeping pills to their food before leaving. That night Freddy sneaks back into their apartment, finding them both fast asleep. He accesses Kainar's phone and sends himself a message, then deletes everything. The photos on Raymond's phone. After venting his anger, Freddy walks out to Raymond's car, draining the brake fluid. When she wakes up, the girl notices the allergic reaction in the mirror and screams. As they rush to the hospital, the car's brakes fail, causing an accident. The next day, Kainar's learns that his restaurant has been ordered to close because a customer found a lizard in his food and posted a negative review. While they are at the restaurant to discuss the matter, their private lives are affected even more. Freddy gains access to Raymond's Facebook account and posts an intimate photo of the couple. Kainar's suspects Freddy's involvement and, along with Raymond, decides to confront him. Freddy opens the door to his house and seems to already know that they are looking for him. However, Raymond begins to beat him brutally, but Freddy always seems to be one step ahead. She had already called the police before the couple arrived. Kainar's tells the cops that Freddy killed Rustam out of jealousy, but he can't bring any proof because the photos are gone. Freddy smiles with satisfaction as his plan seems to be working. A few days later, Freddy returns home to find a bullet in front of the door and his apartment ransacked. He calls Kainar's and says he already knows that they are behind this and that's why he left the snake in their apartment. The two start to panic and decide to stay in a motel. At the motel, the two inform Freddy that he turned his beloved turtle, Hardy, into soup. Freddy checks the camera footage and discovers that the two did indeed kill Hardy. Because of this, a sense of revenge ignites in him, and after burying Hardy's memories, he decides to exact revenge. He assigns a street man to inform the police that he witnessed Rustam's murder. As a result, the police go to Freddy's clinic and question the doctor. Freddy lies and says that Raymond took his car to kill Rustam, and proves this by showing the fake text messages he had secretly sent her while in Kainar's apartment. The icing on the cake is recording Raymond's break-in at his apartment. Now that they are the prime suspects, the police contact the couple, requesting their presence at the police station for a statement. At the end of the conversation with the police, Freddy, who is heading to his isolated house in the village, calls them and tells them that he can make it all stop. If they come to apologize to his farm, Freddy asks them to bring a suitcase with them, without explaining why. Desperate, the couple agrees, but their true intentions are to kill him that very evening. Sometime later, they arrive at the farm, where Freddy welcomes them warmly. He casually pulls out a gun and places it on the counter before taking out a bottle of wine. He takes Freddy's gun and asks him if he would still fit his father, adding that killing him with it would be even more embarrassing. He pulls the trigger only to find that the gun is out of bullets. Raymond seizes the moment and lunges at Freddy, who quickly retrieves a taser. Freddy manages to knock out both Raymond and Kainar's. A few moments later, the two regain consciousness tied to the chairs. Freddy remembers the days when tooth extractions were done without anesthesia. Meanwhile, the police begin a search for the missing couple, motivated by the fact that they did not turn up at the police station and evidence that suggests they may be on the run. Freddy, with horrifying determination, proceeds to extract each of Raymond and Kainar's teeth without anesthesia. He mercilessly deposits the two in freshly dug graves. As Freddy buries Kainar's, he confesses that he still loves her, and with a bitter sense of irony, he realizes the cruel trick life has played. The film ends with Freddy lying among the graves.